Okay, so I just watched The Batman the other day, at least of when you guys are seeing this, and yeah, it's pretty fucking good. Let's kind of talk about it here. The Batman is a detective movie first, a superhero second. I am very curious to see what the audience reaction will be because, and I'm not going to mention this movie that much here because I'm not really trying to compare them, but it's like less than 2.5 months ago, we were all watching Spider Man No Way Home. And Spider Man No Way Home moves like this. It is Spider Man. It is entrenched in the MCU. There's a multiversal story. People were laughed, people cried. And I don't say this as an insult, like the theme park ride of Marvel movies. I don't even see why that's a bad thing. It kind of is. You're along for the ride. You're fucking cheering. You're crying sometimes. And it flies by and it's done. The Batman has different goals than Spider-Man No Way Home. It is a completely different movie than Spider-Man No Way Home, and I'm very curious to see how people will react to that because this movie is fucking dark. It is a dark detective noir film that I'm sure you guys all already know. It is damn near 3 hours long. It's patiently paced and deliberately paced. There is not a ton of action scenes in terms of at least fighting. I am extremely curious to see how people are going to react to that. Everything I just said, the dark gritty tone, the deliberate pace, it's more of a detective thing that is fully my shit, and that is why the Batman is really fucking good. Obviously, this movie has taken inspiration from Zodiac. I mean, Paul Dano's The Riddler is literally pretty much just the Zodiac killer. And if you guys know me, if you guys follow me on Letterboxd, or if you just fucking can perceive shit, I don't know. Movies like Zodiac and Seven, even shit like Prisoners or whatever, in terms of just tone or style or whatever, those are like absolute top tier movies. I eat that shit up. I love a detective crime thriller, and the Batman is pretty much it. It is straight up a detective movie with Batman in it. And that is something that really has not been explored in live action Batman. Like The Dark Knight has some elements to that, but it doesn't really feel like he is some insane detective. It almost feels like the technology of it is doing all the work. And I say that as someone whose The Dark Knight is my favorite comic book movie of all time. I know that's a very basic opinion, but let's be honest. The detective part isn't really explored that much. This movie, bro, come on. He be solving crimes out here, okay? Going back to the lack of action that I just said, obviously there's still actions where Batman beats some people up. There's an insane Batmobile chase that is awesome. But like for sure, the action is not as much as you would think when there's a 3-hour superhero movie. But for me, I almost consider the action when the Riddler murders someone, leaves clues and a riddle for Batman, and he has to figure that shit out. Oh boy, that shit is the best. And let me just say, if I was Batman and my killer was leaving riddles for me to solve, so many people are gonna die under my watch because I was watching the Batman and like they were like saying the riddles, and then like I was in my seat. I was like, okay, there's if you were justice with I don't really know. And then the Batman said the answer, and I'm like, okay, yeah, for sure, yeah, I totally got that. A lot of people would die under my watch. Thankfully, I am a nobody. Going along with that detective shit, it is fucking dark, it is gritty, it is grimy, and that is exactly what you expect with Gotham. That is kind of what I associate with Gotham. And Matt Reeves and Greg Fraser, the cinematographer, fucking accomplished the shit out of that. This movie, on a technical basis, it's so good. It is so good. I am not going to talk about like Oscars, like 2023 Oscars. I'm literally recording this when like before the SAG Awards. All I'm saying is this would be like legitimately worthy of a lot of technical crafts. I mean, the cinematography for Greg Fraser, Lord have mercy. He's just been nominated for Dune, which is an amazing looking movie. And the Batman looks so good. Some of the shots, I was like, Jesus Christ, how'd they fucking do that? Look at this one right here. This was in the trailer. Oh, Jesus. It's so good. The cinematography on this is just unbelievable. The look, I mean, lighting. Dude, I just watched Tall Girl 2 yesterday as of when I'm recording. The lighting in Tall Girl 2 is so shit. Some people are so overexposed. It looks so fucking ugly. And I just remembered the Batman as I was watching Tall Girl 2. And I was like, oh my God, like just give this man like a raise. I don't even know what to say. Like Greg Fraser understands lighting. That is what a good cinematographer does. Now let's talk about Robert Pattinson. I know a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, they got the Twilight guy to play fucking Batman. We know better. Huh? We know better. We knew that was a good choice for Batman back then. Now that I've seen it, I can say he was a good choice for Batman. Temper your expectations for what you expect Batman to be. This is not an origin story, and also this is not Michael Jordan in his prime. He is kind of right in the middle. Year 2. Let's basically say that. Year 2. He is kind of exactly what I picture Batman, to be honest. And I thought he pulls that shit off great. Really, the whole cast is great. I mean, Zoe Kravitz is a great Catwoman. She's fantastic. She plays a good foil to Batman. Andy Serkis, my fucking king. Love that guy. Alfred, check. Jeffrey Wright, Commissioner Gordon, check. Colin Farrell as the Penguin. Just give this movie like an Oscar for makeup. Let's just do that. Paul Dano, my other king. Honestly, one of my favorite actors. Just a completely underrated actor as well. I say this with all due respect, motherfucker. You are a serial killer, okay? You just are a serial killer. You just pulled that shit off almost too well. Him in Prisoners, bruh. He is so creepy in this movie. His voice, the like manic energy at times, and also that stoic, breathy, like fucking killer in him. His eyes, his facial expressions, Jesus. Like sometimes I need to go back and watch like Swiss Army Man or Little Miss Sunshine just to remember that Paul Dano is like a normal person. And then I'll think of Prisoners and now the Batman. So that's a lot of good things about this. Now, I can already envision some of the complaints about this movie. A, oh my gosh, the movie's too long. B, wow, little action in this movie. C, man, Robert Pattinson, this Batman, like, we don't care about him. Let me address those, okay? For the length, I think 2 things could be true. Does this movie need to be 3 hours long? No, it doesn't. I don't think this movie needed to be 3 hours long. Did it bother me that this movie was 3 hours long? No. No, it didn't. Did I feel the length? No. No, I didn't. You see? There's 2 sides there. Let's just continue. Lack of action. I mean, I guess if you want to look at it that way, I can't stop you. Personally, I don't even really buy that because I personally like the tone and the way they're handling this movie. But, you know, if some people go in with the expectation that this is a superhero movie, they want action, they're probably going to be disappointed straight up. People not exactly emotionally connecting to Robert Pattinson's Batman. I mean, listen, he's like stoic, you know? He's a stoic Batman who fucking has some trauma, okay? I understand that, you know, stoicism, is that a fucking word? Can sometimes leave you a little bit cold. And honestly, I'll probably agree with some of that, like for sure. At the same time, what do you expect? This is not Peter Parker, you know? Like, people are fucking just attached to Peter Parker because he's a kid, he's relatable, he's charming, he's quipping. This is like fucking Bruce Wayne. Like, his parents straight up murdered. Like, if I was in his position, I'd probably be like that too. Now, there are some story beats that didn't exactly work for me, and I'm interested to see this again, and I am seeing it again in a few days with my friends. I want to know what they think, but I want to see if that was just like me, you know, like if that was me. And it's tough because as how dark this movie is, like I said, it is very cold, and because of that, people can just feel straight up disconnected. I'll fully admit, like sometimes during the movie, I'd feel a little disconnected from it just because of how cut off it felt, you know, like how distant Batman and them felt. So I get it. I'm curious to see how this holds on a rewatch because honestly, I think it'll be better on a rewatch. And I'm saying that as someone who obviously likes the fucking movie. So, I mean, Jesus. I know I'm rambling here just because of, you know, you guys know how my videos work with these reviews. I don't plan this out. I just say what comes to the top of my head. The Batman is fantastic. I really liked it. If this somehow bridges a gap between cinephiles and superhero lovers in some way, that's awesome. Honestly, for me, I love the tone this went. I love that it's a detective movie first, superhero second. It is very refreshing to see a superhero movie like this as someone who enjoys, you know, a lot of Marvel movies. You know, this one is very different. Technically, insanely well crafted, legitimately worthy of any Oscar buzz this movie will undoubtedly get. Matt Reeves has another hit on his hands. The Batman, I am going to go 4 stars. And that is just because some of the story beats, and like I said, a little bit how cold you feel during it. 4 stars is not bad, guys. 4 stars is not bad. And if you follow me on Letterboxd or whatever, I am rewatching this soon, and you'll see my updated grade there. I will make a separate video talking about the future Oscars later, okay? I want to get through this Oscars first. Having said that, I'm interested to see how this movie goes. I'll just say that. I'm interested to see its life. I wonder how many times Robert Pattinson has lied in these interviews so far for Batman.